This is not about partisanship. This is about justice for the survivors, and it's about knowing whether or not we have disgusting pedophiles governing us in the government.
In this breakdown, we're diving straight into a heated clash where Anna Casper completely destroyed Alan Dershowitz. A showdown between a journalist calling out power and a lawyer who spent decades defending the worst people alive. We're talking about Anna Casper, unapologetic, sharp, and refusing to let predators hide behind fancy titles. Now, let's talk about Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's former lawyer, professional excuse maker, and a self-appointed guardian of due process for billionaires accused of raping children. This critique is blunt, bold, and direct, because the script itself pulls no punches. So neither will I. We're breaking down the hypocrisy, the spin, and the desperate tactics thrown out to protect women. Let's find the real truth.
You sound just like Joseph McCarthy. We have pedophiles running our government.
Okay,
we
sure.
have imposition of authority. That's what Joseph McCarthy did. I have a list of pedophiles who are running America. You are a McCarthyite. You are the worst violator of due process. You are exactly what this country has to be afraid of. Shame on you.
Right out of the gate, Anna frames it perfectly. This is about survivors, about who is running the government, and about whether monsters are hiding behind respectable titles. Simple, clean, and powerful. And how does Dershowitz respond? In classic Dershowitz move. Dodge the accusations, smear the accuser, pretend that asking for accountability is basically fascism. That's how you do it. That's how he dares you to notice the crimes in his defense. And it's flat out pathetic.
This brings me exactly. I would be more afraid of a guy who signs up to be the defense attorney for said pedophile.
That was our very own Anna Kasparian, and she went head-to-head with Jeffrey Epstein's former defense lawyer of all people, Alan Dershowitz. And as you can see there, he accused Anna of being a McCarthyite for wanting to hold powerful men who abuse young girls accountable for their crimes. So we're going to hear more from the exchange and from Alan Dershowitz, including his smears of Epstein's accusers in just a second. But first, man, you got to give Anna a lot of credit for what she's doing out there.
Yeah, I want you guys to pay attention to a couple of things in the videos we're going to show you. First, of course, how much Anna kicks their ass, which is hilarious. Two is the excuses that they use over and over again on the Epstein files. So I'm going to point out the tactics they're using. They say nominally, like, of course, we want the Epstein files released, but, and the buts are the really interesting parts, including that hilarious trick of trying to say that the people who want justice against the pedophiles are actually the bad guys who are being McCarthyite for trying to hold pedophiles accountable. I mean, that was some real twisty twist stuff from Shorty. And then I'll also explain why I called Dershowitz Shorty.
Jake praises Anna for firing back. Her surgical strike cut through like a knife. Anna cuts right into his favorite shield, pretending his professional choices were noble. Dershowitz doesn't have nobility. No, Dershowitz wasn't just some public defender signed a case. He chose Epstein. He chose Weinstein. He chose OJ. He chose to align himself with the filthiest men in modern American history because it made him rich and it kept him relevant. And the moment Anna calls out the obvious truth, he melts down completely.
Can't wait. Well, okay, so the theme of the debate was Alan Dershowitz's grave concern for men who he predicts could be falsely accused by women in the files, and a wild lack of concern for the actual victims of abuse. In fact, right off the bat, he questioned whether Epstein survivor Maria Farmer is actually credible, accusing her of anti-Semitism. Take a look.
We can't redact information to protect the so-called accusers because some of the accusers are false accusers. For example, yesterday at the press conference, there was a discussion of a woman whose name is Farmer, who had accused various Jewish men of being pedophiles, and CNN featured it, and they all featured it, and they forgot to mention the fact that she has said, quote, I have a hard time with Jewish people. All the Jewish people I met are pedophiles who run the economy. They're Jewish supremacists. They're people who follow the Rothschilds. Now, if you want to assess her credibility, you have to hear that evidence. Maybe she's telling the truth about being oppressed, but when you hear what she says about Jews and you know that she only accused Jews, then you take that into account. Yesterday, there was a press conference. There were many people. The farmers were there. If they were actually abused, and many of them were, why don't they simply release the names of their abusers?
This line is dirty. It's manipulative. It's a setup. We get to the part where he tries to discredit Maria Farmer, one of the earliest whistleblowers, by selectively quoting her and painting her as some unhinged bigot. And yet the script shows the full context. Her anti-Semitic comments stemmed from trauma, and she repeatedly clarified that it wasn't all Jewish people, but the powerful elites she encountered around Epstein. Dershowitz wants you to think about Maria's commentary, not Epstein's crimes. He wants you debating word choice while 1,000 victims go ignored, because he doesn't want the names released. He wants the victims' names released so billionaires can see them in oblivion, and he can bill another 7-figure retainer to represent the pedophile at the end of the day. This is the most transparent hypocrisy in the entire story.
And that isn't the first time that he's disparaged Farmer. In a 2020 column, Dershowitz also argued that Farmer may have been motivated by the anti-Semitic attitudes that she has long harbored to falsely accuse prominent Jews of sexual misconduct. And he's right that Maria Farmer has made some concerning comments in the past, but unsurprisingly, he is leaving out a hell of a lot of context. So Maria Farmer had a lengthy phone interview with journalist Whitney Webb years ago about her experience with Epstein. Here's what she had to say in context. She said, for a long time, I had a hard time with all Jewish people. I'm going to be honest with you. For a long time, I was like, I think it's all the Jews. My sister is like, Maria, it's just the ones you met. It's just these people. It's just unfortunate that all the Jewish people I met also happen to be pedophiles that run the world economy, you know? So it gives like a bad taste in your mouth, but I kind of understand it better now. You know, they did a number on all of us. We've all had a hard time with it, like a lot of it because of the abuse. So it's hard to not then go, all these people are like this when it's not true. Not all of them, just a huge chunk of elites are like this. And I wonder if it has more to do with the fact that they're elites and not the fact that they're Jewish, and that maybe that there's a Venn diagram out there that makes sense of all this. But Dershowitz leaves out that she felt these biases against Jews in the past, and also that her bias against them seems to have come after her experience with Epstein, not before her experience with him. And aside from that, the Justice Department also said this year that he had 1,000 victims. So even if we were to accept that Dershowitz, his premise that one of these accusers is not credible, which we're not accepting that, what about the other 999 girls and women that the DOJ say that Epstein also abused? So Anna did clap back. She had a response for Dershowitz, calling him out for voluntarily deciding to defend some of the worst people in this country.
You're putting yourself in a weird position here because you claim you were wrongfully accused. That's different from being abused by wealthy, powerful billionaires who have been able to bury the Epstein files for decades at this point. I mean, you would know better than anyone. You were the lawyer defending Epstein, and you secured that sweetheart deal for him in 2008, which essentially allowed for him to leave prison and continue engaging in the same abusive, exploitative, rape behavior.
Exactly.
I would be more afraid of a guy who signs up to be the defense attorney for aforesaid pedophile, the guy who in 2018 provided legal counsel and advice to Harvey Weinstein. It is interesting. Has there been a convicted, pedophile or a bad actor that you haven't signed up to defend? I think your credibility on this matter is lacking. I'd say that.
Okay, well, finally, Alan Dershowitz also insisted that Jeffrey Epstein was not, in fact, connected to any intelligence agencies and was not running a blackmail operation. Let's watch.
I have, as a lawyer, represented the Mossad. I helped get 5 Israelis out of a Cyprus prison. I have a good relationship. I'm not a member of the Mossad. I'm not a spy. But I know the former head of the Mossad, the current head of the Mossad. I can state for you categorically, if Epstein had worked for the Mossad, I would have used that to help him get an even better deal. I asked him that question. I asked it to him directly. He would have been motivated to tell me if he had worked for the CIA, if he had worked for any intelligence agency. So I can tell you categorically that Jeffrey Epstein never worked for any intelligence agency, Israel or the United States, and any statement to the contrary is pure McCarthyism again. And I can categorically state, and this is supported by every investigation that has been done, there were no video cameras. There was no extortion. There was no blackmail. It's all made up.
Dershowitz actually states, with a straight face, that Epstein wasn't Mossad or CIA because Epstein told him so. That right there is comedy gold. Completely ridiculous. Epstein, a man whose entire existence was built on lies, manipulation, and blackmail, supposedly decided to tell Dershowitz the whole truth about his spy connections, and then Dershowitz claims there were no cameras, no blackmail, and no extortion, calling anything else pure McCarthyism. That exact moment was ridiculous. This is where any viewer with a functioning brain cell could pause and laugh, because this denial isn't weak. It's flat out insulting. It's the kind of defense someone gives you when they're terrified of what those files actually contain. Wouldn't you say?
All right, we have to give so much credit to Anna for taking on people like Alan freaking Dershowitz and doing it so well. I can't do what she does. I'm not trying to. I couldn't do what she does. But Cenk, you did mention that certain things kept coming up in these exchanges between Anna and Dershowitz. And I'm going to say that those things were 1, McCarthyism, and then 2, antisemitism, because there was a lot of anti-Semitic accusations that were coming out saying things like, you know what? These accusers are anti-Semitic. People don't like it. Anna rightfully pointed out that wasn't really relevant because the claims that she was making were still credible. And also just the fact that, he tried to paint Anna as a McCarthyite, he called her. It's really just a cop-out excuse. It doesn't have any kind of credibility to that argument because, if it just so happens that all these people are pedophiles who are running the government, then that is the case. Just the fact that it's a lot, that is a problem, but it doesn't discredit the actual argument.
Anna Casper destroys Dershowitz because she does what he cannot handle. She stays on the facts. She centered her arguments around the survivors, not the billionaires. She doesn't fold under cheap accusations or his legal theatrics. Dershowitz, on the other hand, spent the entire exchange dodging accountability, smearing victims, screaming McCarthyism at the top of his lungs, also screaming anti-Semitism to make sure everybody heard it, and pretended his decades defending predators were noble acts of justice. It's transparent, it's tiring, and it's old. And most importantly, it doesn't work anymore. Anna walked into a debate with a man who built a career defending the worst people on earth. And she outclassed him, out-argued him, and exposed everything about him. This script shows exactly why the public trusts Anna and laughs in Dershowitz's face. If this video is titled Anna Casper Completely Destroys Alan Dershowitz, the script more than lives up to it, and he knows it. Thank you for watching and listening to our video. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We will talk with you the next time we need to uncover the real truth.